Hello, welcome to yet another video of DevSecOps with GitLab. So today we'll be seeing another infrastructure as code security scan and how to do that and integrate with the GitLab CI/CD pipeline. So let's get started. So I have this repo which we have gone through earlier in my previous tutorials or videos. So here I just modified the GitLab CI YAML where I have kept only plan stage and I have added one more stage called IaC scan. So IaC scan is again infrastructure as code scan, which can be Terraform files, YAML files, or any other infrastructure as code files. So these all things we have discussed before, but let me go through once again. So again, for Terraform plan, we have the variables HTTP password, username. So these all are for storing the state of the Terraform. Then state name we have given as default. In the plan job, we have defined the Terraform plan stage where we are again echoing certain statements and installing certain files and curls and utilities, whatever we need for the tutorial. And then we are also installing Terraform, and pipe through here means that even if it's already installed, it should not fail the command, because of which the plan or the job should not fail. So that's why we are given pipe. Then again, we are exporting all the variables, which is like AWS access key, secret key, which is required to connect to your AWS cloud. And then again, mentioning the region where we want to create the cloud resources. So here, basically, the plan will be running on the code which we have here. So which we have already gone through. So I'll just again review or the purpose of this tutorial. So here we are creating two things, which is one is EC2 instance and one is S3 bucket. So all those things codes we have discussed in the previous tutorial. So maybe you can go through the tutorials if you are not familiar with these things. So I'll just focus on the Checkov scan, which we'll be using for today's tutorial. But there are various other scans you can do like Terrascan, TFSec, etc. For our tutorial, we'll be going to Checkov one. So again, this is the command which we are using Terraform init, and we are passing this backend and all files because these all things are required to set up the Terraform state over GitLab. So that is why we are passing those things here. And we are finally running the Terraform plan. So Terraform plan is basically running the dry run and letting you know what all resources it will be creating. So these all things we have already covered in the previous lectures. And this variable that you see, TFSec password, then the AWS secret key, access key, those things we can go to our CI/CD setting here. And once you go to variables, if you go to variables here, you will be seeing the AWS access keys secret. So access key ID and secret ID. Again, you can go through your user created over AWS, which we have covered in the previous tutorials. So I have created a new key today. So again, I have exported we have the access key here. Secret key is not here because it will be only available once you create that, and after that you have to store it somewhere. So I have stored that those variables, whatever I got from here over the AWS, over the project variables here. You can see access key, secret key. These things are stored as the variables here. Again, if you are not sure about how to create variables or what are the kinds of variables you can create, you can go to the previous videos. Now, TFSec password is mostly the token or the personal access token, which is required to access the GitLab TF state files. So for that, you need to again go to your user. You just click here, go to access token, and I have already created one. You just need you can for the tutorial you can provide all the required access, but basically it needs the read and write access to the API. Again, you can drill down according to your organization. And so for now, I have given all the things, and don't worry about these things because I'll be deleting all these things once the tutorial is done. So we are ready with all the variables files. Then I have added a new stage. If you can see IaC scan. So I created a new job for that. So Checkov scan is the job name. And if you go here stage, I have defined the IaC scan. So it is exactly the same again, which we have defined over the stages. Then we are using Python 3.11 Alpine image, Docker image, and then in the before script. So before script is the section which we define whenever you want to run some scripts. So before running your scripts, it will run all those commands or the scripts, whatever you need in the before script section. So we are again adding the JQ, curl, etc. for in the Docker image and installing the Checkov, which is the security scan part. Then once that is done, we come to the script section where we are using the Checkov command. So Checkov -d is the directory where our infrastructure as code resides. So this is the parent directory, and after this we can find all the TF files. If you see here, so infra inside this in the Terraform IaC project, we had the infra repo, and here we had all the Terraform files which are acting as IaC. So again, we are running this in the quiet mode, and output mode we have selected as JSON, and then we are redirecting it to checkov-report.json. Again, I have put a pipe through because once this Checkov is run, if you have vulnerabilities, it will directly fail the build and you will not be able to see those things. Like what are the vulnerabilities and those things. So for that, I have created a small script section here. So you can see I'm creating a variable called fail, and I'm using jQuery. And basically, once we have this report generated, it will generate all the issues it has, and it will also give a summary. So in the summary, we can get the failed item. So that's why I'm choosing .summary.failed, and then this is the file from which I am selecting this. So in the next section, again we are printing this line like Checkov report, and what is the value of this failed. So it is 0, 1, 2, whatever it is there, it will say reported these many checks have failed. Next, in the check, what we are doing is whatever the value we have in the variable got from the Java query here. So if it is greater than 1, that means we do have some issues in our IaC, which is reported by Checkov scan. So it will fail the build step here. And then again we have the else statement. If it's not there, it will pass the build. So exit one is we are using for failing the build in case we have the vulnerabilities. Then in the artifact section, artifacts is the part where what is the build report or any kind of zip, JSON or output, whatever we are storing in the artifact section. So we have mentioned like it should keep the checkov.report.json, checkov-report.json actually. Even if the build fails or passes, it should always, whenever the report is generated, it should be there in the artifact section, and it should expire in 1 week. So that's it for the coding part or integrating it with the GitLab CI/CD YAML. And particularly, you should remember these plan and all we were running over our AWS runner. So by AWS runner, I mean the GitLab runner hosted over AWS, which is we have configured before. So if you're not sure again about this thing, you can go to the previous lectures. And this one which we have mentioned, it is not running on our GitLab runner, but on the GitLab default runners, which are a lot of runners we have available. So it will be running the Checkov scan there. For getting started, maybe I'll just edit a line so that we can see how this works. Okay, so I'll commit. Okay, so I have committed. Now it has started running our CI for this repository and the project, and we can see it is running started the Terraform plan, which will be running on our AWS EC2 agent, EC2 runner, you can say. So you can see from here, this is the IP or private IP of our EC2, and it has fetched the GitLab repository, and then it is running the Terraform plan, downloading actually the curl and the various of the Terraform and the files, and finally it has run the Terraform plan, which is the dry run of all the resources it will be creating. So we can see it says like it will be creating 3 resources, which is the bucket policy, bucket, and EC2 instance. So this stage has succeeded. Now it is moved to Checkov stage. So let's go to the Checkov scan. This is the IaC scan again. So we can see this is not running on our EC2 runner, but on the GitLab runner, and it is available from the GitLab Blue, SAS, Linux, Small. It is running on those runners. Now it is executing the Python, or it is downloading the image Python 3.11 Alpine, and we can see if we go through the logs, it is already finished. But you can see like we are whatever commands we have mentioned, like first it download the repo, and then it is like adding the JQ and curl, and again Checkov is installed. Okay, so once the installation is done, and we are using Checkov command to run the IaC scan, and it will be storing the results in the checkov-report.json. Again, pipe through is for passing the command, because generally when it runs and if it finds some vulnerabilities, it will fail the command and it will fail the job. So we don't want that, because we want to see all the issues whatever we have generated. That's why I am running this with pipe through. And then the script already I have discussed. So we can see Checkov has reported 12 failed checks. So 12 issues are there with our IaC in the Terraform files. And we can see it as uploaded the artifact over the artifact section. So we can go to the artifacts. We can see the job artifacts is here. Just go to browse. You can go here. Click on the link. Actually, the JSON is not pretty here, so we just select the pretty print, and we can go through the just any other JSON parser tool or other tools. But we can just basically understand from here. The check name was EC2 instance should not have public IP. and we can see it has failed because of that check. So if you want to go again to the instance and see, you can go to your EC2, and we can see we have made this as associate public IP address too. Because of this, it had failed. Again, let's go to some other checks. So it says the next check is ensure that detailed monitoring is enabled in EC2, which we have not done. That's why it's suggesting like we should have enabled the detailed monitoring. Again, we can see the other check is ensure that EC2 EBS is optimized. So we are not optimizing the EBS, we are not encrypting it. So because of those things, it has failed again. Let's go to some other last checks in the S3. So we can see the check name here is ensuring all data stored in S3 have version enabled. And we have not enabled any version. If you go to s3.tf, we can see that. And because of that, it is suggesting we should have done that, follow the standard. And because of that, it has failed. So we can see we didn't enable any encryption in the S3 bucket. So these are the various checks. Like once you enable these things, it will fail the build, which will avoid the deviations from the standards you set for the company. So it will also help you, the infrastructure engineers, DevOps, SRE, to be a better engineer, which is like a modified version of the current, where they know how to securely code the infra as well. So that's how easy it is to integrate infrastructure as code with GitLab CI/CD pipeline.